So John Fury hit a member of Team Usyk with a completely unprovoked headbutt on the first day of fight week in Saudi Arabia. This is a video of it right here because you might hear from some Tyson Fury fans or from members of Team Fury that the guy provoked John Fury into doing it. He was getting in John Fury's face. That is completely untrue. You see a very, very clear angle of it in this particular video. Clear as day, the guy is standing there minding his own business. John Fury takes the opportunity to turn around and headbutt him in the face. And this, of course, in typical John Fury style, was the smallest member of Usyk's team, because previously, a few seconds earlier, he'd been in a shouting match with other members of Usyk's team, some of whom are big guys, but he didn't headbutt any of them. He only headbutted this guy, the smallest member of the team, of course, when the security had gotten in between the two camps, and this guy was offside, so to speak, and John Fury took his opportunity, again, to hit the smallest guy. Now, you'll see another angle here after the altercation, where Tyson comes out and he's asking his dad what happened, and they're all very happy with themselves. You see the members of Team Fury here. This is Shane smiling and laughing. That's John's bald head there. This is Tyson. They're all smiling and laughing. They're very happy with how the altercation went. Here is John, again, after the altercation, smiling and laughing, blood streaming down his face. And of course, that's the poetic justice in this situation, because John Fury went and launched an unprovoked assault, and he actually came off second best. He ended up with a big gash on his forehead, whereas the member of Team Usyk ended up with just a bruise on his head. And so here's John Fury again. You can see arms stretched out, screaming like he's Braveheart or something, like he did something amazing. Then he's done this interview with IFL TV after it. He's got the dark glasses on and a cap now, and he's saying the guy's some little idiot, he got what he got. And of course, as you would expect, Gareth A. Davis, who is an unofficial member of Team Fury at this point, that's what we would have to call him, he's making excuses for what John Fury did here. I would say it's extraordinary, but it's not really, because Gareth A. Davis has got a long history, a long track record of basically being an invertebrate, being spineless. So he's not going to call John Fury out for bad behavior at all. Of course, he's going to try and justify it, which is what he appears to do in this Box Nation interview. And then you've got Alex Krasuk reacting to what happened in this video here on Pro Boxing Fans YouTube channel. And again, he points out the fact that John Fury picked on the smallest member of their team. And he also says, interestingly, that in the Eastern Orthodox Church, that's the form of Christianity that Usyk certainly and perhaps members of his team adhere to, they have some type of game or ritual, I don't know how you would describe it, during one of their holy days or festivals, whereby you get two people together with eggs in their hands, an egg each, and they crack the eggs together. Well, they hit the eggs together, and whoever's egg cracks is obviously the loser, and the guy whose egg doesn't crack is the winner. And so they seem to see this as a good omen going into the fight. The fact that a member of Team Fury assaulted them, but came off second best. So that's an interesting one. And this is the guy who John Fury assaulted, this little guy here. And I say it's typical John Fury because what did he do with Carl Frampton? With Carl Frampton, right up on Carl Frampton, who's about 5'3". John Fury's literally a foot taller than him. God knows how much heavier, probably double his body weight. And the guy who John Fury half-blinded all those years ago, he was also like Carl Frampton, a little guy, in case you didn't know. He wasn't some big guy like John, little guy. That's who John Fury half-blinded. So this is in keeping with what John Fury is and with who he is. And in fact, speaking of good and bad omens, as we all know, David Haye has picked against Tyson Fury on many, many occasions in the past. And of course, he's always been wrong. In fact, he seems to get the vast majority of all his boxing predictions wrong, regardless of who's fighting. And so for a long time, the running joke became, if you're not sure of who to pick in a fight, wait to hear David Haye's prediction and pick the opposite. Then you're virtually guaranteed to be right. Well, in this instance, David Haye is going against his previous form because he's actually picking Tyson Fury to win. If I was a member of Team Fury and I was superstitious, I'd be concerned about that, personally. More than anything Usyk has done in camp, more so than John Fury getting cut, more than any of that, I'd be most concerned about the fact that David Haye is picking Tyson to win. To me, that would be an ominous sign. I'd take that as a bad omen. I should just point out here, because I often talk about how biased the boxing media is in favor of Tyson Fury. I've pointed out Gareth A. Davis, what would you expect? But there was one of the major boxing interview channels on YouTube put out a video of the altercation where John Fury headbutts this guy. And the original title they put was John Fury headbutted by a member of Team Usyk. Absolutely incredible. And you'll see by the comments on screen why they ended up changing the title to what it is now. Because they got such backlash for such an egregious and absurd, disingenuous, dishonest video title, such a biased pro-Fury video title, that they were forced to go back and change it. I mean, unbelievable. Just unreal. And I'm going to do a separate video about this, but this fight isn't just Alexander Usyk versus Tyson Fury. It's Alexander Usyk versus Tyson Fury and the entire boxing industry, because the boxing industry is absolutely desperate for Fury to win this fight. Why? Because he makes more money for everybody than Alexander Usyk does. And of course, they want to set up this massive fight with Anthony Joshua. They're hoping they can get past Usyk one way or the other, by hook or by crook, and be able to forego a rematch with him and go straight into the massive cash bonanza that is the Anthony Joshua fight once and for all. That's what they're hoping for, the whole industry. And that's why you see all this ridiculous stuff on these boxing interview channels after John Fury literally launches an unprovoked assault on someone, and they don't want to call him out on it. Not only did they not want to call John Fury out on it, at least one of the major boxing interview channels, as I say, accused Team Usyk of being the ones who assaulted John Fury. Absolutely incredible. The question that many people are asking is, why did John Fury do this? Is it a sign that Team Fury are rattled and that they're having to pull antics like this to try and unsettle Team Usyk and gain some confidence themselves? Well, it's possible, but of course you have to remember that John Fury is like this normally. This is an unusual behavior for him. So I wouldn't necessarily look at this assault as smoking gun evidence that Team Fury are rattled by itself. But then you have to consider the fact that Tyson knows his dad John better than anyone. And so in bringing him to Saudi Arabia for this fight, he must have known that there would be a high chance of something like this happening. In which case, is that the reason that he brought him over to Saudi Arabia with him? Because Tyson hasn't always been so accommodating of his dad to bring him to all his fights and so on and so forth, have him involved in these types of situations. But he was here. He said in that weird press conference he did a few weeks ago in Morecambe that he's got his secret weapon in camp for this fight, which is his dad John. Is this what he meant by unleashing his secret weapon? Is this an attempt by Tyson, knowing what his dad is like, to unsettle Team Usyk and try and get some kind of advantage in the fight? Team Usyk have done interviews, I've already shown you. Alex Krasuk, he says he sees it as a good omen that the guy who John Fury headbutted came off a lot better than John himself. And Usyk has done a few interviews. He said that it's, I think he described it as bipolar and bad behavior by John, but he's not focused on any of this. He's just focused on the fight. He doesn't care about all the antics. He kind of expected antics. And in fact, during the altercation, Usyk was being interviewed by one of the major broadcasters, and he was calling his team back. He was telling them to fall back, don't get involved in any altercation, just fall back. I'm sure the Saudis are going to be having words with John Fury. I'm sure they are. And so do not be surprised if we see an apology from John Fury at some point during fight week for this altercation, because it's clear as day that it was an unprovoked assault. So don't be surprised if the Saudis have a word with him and he all of a sudden, after being defiant as he was here, saying he got what he got, acted like he deserved it. Don't be surprised if he does a 180 and all of a sudden says, oh, I apologize, and it wasn't good. Because that's what he did, if you guys remember, in the run-up to the fight between... In fact, I'm not sure whether it was the run-up for the fight between KSI and his son Tommy, but it was some KSI fight, right? And John Fury was saying a load of stuff and acting up, and then he later went on to apologize for it. And I think he might have apologized for the Jake Paul thing as well. Where he was saying stuff about Jake Paul's girlfriend. John Fury does have a history of doing a 180 and apologizing after these incidents where he's acting the fool. And again, I suspect it isn't genuine remorse from John Fury. I suspect he, in all of these instances, is told by organizers of the event, look, we can't have you here if you're going to behave like this. And at the very least, you need to apologize or, you're not going to be here anymore. John Fury is lucky his son is partaking in this massive event, because if he was anyone else, he'd probably be looking at jail time in Saudi Arabia for an unprovoked assault like that. And of course, John Fury, one thing I forgot to mention, he acts like this when people he's facing off against are either nerds, as was the case on those Misfit shows, or when he's got his big son and these other Team Fury members with him, that's when he's acting all bold. And even then, he'll only go for the smallest guy in the team. I mean, we saw this stuff from John in the lead up to the Dylan White fight. But again, he's got his boys with him. He's got Tyson, he's got Big Shane, he's got all these other Team Fury members. That's when he wants to act up. And the cameras, of course, are rolling, so he knows it can't go that far. John Fury reminds me of a guy called Norman Stone, who was the trainer of John Ruiz, who was former WBA heavyweight champion way back in the days. Norman Stone used to behave a lot like John Fury, being aggressive and these unnecessary altercations, often got physical with people. The difference, though, with Norman Stone is that he was actually a little guy, and he would often pick fights with big guys. Whereas John Fury is a big guy who likes to pick on the little guys. But still, if you've never seen Norman Stone, if you're not familiar with him, go look him up on YouTube. You'll see loads of video compilations of his antics. And in fact, another one of the differences between Norman Stone and John Fury is that Norman Stone was condemned by the boxing media as an idiot, whereas John Fury is sucked up to by members of the boxing media. Not so much the broadcast media, although there's a little bit of that there, but more so the YouTube boxing media, the guys who have access and do all these interviews. They suck up to John Fury to a sickening extent. And certainly in the broadcast media, you do have the likes of Gareth A. Davis, as I've already mentioned, sucking up to John Fury, making excuses for him and all this carry on. So yeah, that's John Fury for you. But here's the thing, as scummy a move as it was from John Fury, and it was a scummy move, we have to consider whether this is actually going to have the effect that John Fury wants it to have. I think John Fury is looking to unsettle Team Usyk with this type of behavior, but he's also looking for attention because the man is very clearly quite an extreme narcissist. He loves all the attention. He wants to be the center of everything. That's what this is all about. This here, look at his posture here, looking like some football hooligan. John Fury loves being the center of attention. He loves the lights, the camera, and the attention far more than his son Tyson does. Far more. He wants to think of himself as some great warrior. He wants to be looked upon by the public as this great warrior, a man to be feared and revered, right? So there you go. Let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section below. John Fury launching the unprovoked assault on a member of Team Usyk. Poetic Justice coming off second best. Do you think this is a sign that Team Fury are lacking in confidence and are trying to do something in desperation to rattle Team Usyk? And do you think it will work if that is the case? Let me know in the comment section below. Oh, and before I go, I just want to tell you about this video here, which I just uploaded to my Patreon page. It's a Usyk Fury film study where I analyze video footage from several of their fights in depth and point out various strengths and weaknesses which may be relevant to their fight against each other. It clocks in at just over an hour in length. It's been very well received by my current patrons. So if you want to access this video and hundreds of other Patreon exclusive uploads, just download the Patreon app from the Play Store or the App Store, then head on over to my Patreon page and sign up for the boxing tier, which is called the Boxing Brotherhood. There's no contract, no commitment. You can cancel at any time, just like Netflix, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper. We've also got a members chat group over there and whatnot. So yeah, come join us.